Welcome to the Health Deli, your local stop for a fresh take on community health topics. Come on in, grab a number, and let the guys behind the counter, Mark, Ben, and Mike, tell you about today's specials.
Welcome to the Health Deli. I am your host today, Mark Young. I have with me today in the studio,
I'm leaving.
Mike Klepser.
Nope, I'm leaving.
And we're laughing because today is going to be a great episode.
God, we need one.
We do need a good one. Ben Pontifrac, not with us today. He's probably too embarrassed to talk about these things, so he took the day off.
He blushes.
He would have. Before we get into the topic of the day, though.
Now we still have Andrew here.
Oh, Andrew.
Hi.
I mean, how can you forget him?
Yes. That's all you got to say, Andrew? All right.
Yeah, we really got to work on
Thanks for that.
intros and stuff like that.
Yeah, we really should.
You'd think by the end of season 3, we would at least...
You think?
Yeah.
You know, it's because we're in this beautiful studio, though. You know, we're just like taken back by this amazing trappings here on the campus of Ferris State University and digital TV production.
You said we were trapped?
And our trappings, our environment. You know, isn't that a word?
Why would you call it a trap?
No, it's
Now I'm going to be nervous the whole time that I'm not able to get out of here.
just a phrase.
What are you guys going to do with me in here?
Yeah. So what have you been working on? Anything? You got anything in the hopper?
In the hopper. Why
Like
do they call
episodes?
it a hopper? I guess yes.
Hopper
I'm
something
actually
holds
thinking of working on one related to hair loss. I'm serious.
What if the hair is just
I'm
already
being
long?
serious. I just realized who my direct audience was, but I'm being serious. What does cause hair loss? And why
You
do
cause
men
hair loss.
Well, that's for my parents, but why do men lose their hair more commonly than women? And why is it mainly your hair in your head and not your eyebrows? And what can we do? So yes, I am dead serious.
All right. You know, I'd be interested.
It's too late.
I know.
I'm curious to know
I don't
why
miss
we
it
don't.
one bit.
Well, what our bodies are impressive because there are still areas, especially different people have different shapes of beard, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's little areas where we don't grow hair. So I don't know. Can you work that into?
Yeah.
Understand.
Yeah.
Maybe all about hair.
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 I like it.
That could get hairy fast.
Oh no.
Ba-dum-bum.
He's back.
He is back. I've been working on a couple episodes, one about performance enhancing drugs, kind of dangers of that, like bodybuilding kind of stuff, testosterone, growth hormone. And then one about handling medications safely, and like exposure risk of certain medications. So I think it's going to be kind of
Well, because there are some that you absorb like through your skin,
right.
So and stuff like that.
So even if you are not the person taking them, so if you're providing them to someone else, or maybe even if you're just around them being counted, dispensed, compounded, those can pose risks too. So
interesting.
Make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't on board at first because anything that you bring up on your own, usually we have to vet a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
But okay, I think I'm coming around.
But today's topic.
You just said but.
But today's topic is part 2 of embarrassing bodily functions. So we're going a little bit further. We're learning about some more bodily functions that are a little bit.
This is why Ben's not here.
Right, because he would not be able to handle this. He would just be.
I'm not sure I can handle this.
Yeah. So we left off on probably the most embarrassing bodily function, which is farting. Now,
why would you be embarrassed?
Well, you potentially are not embarrassed. I am a little embarrassed by that. Now, just to kind of give you the format again to remind listeners, we could say what is happening. So kind of what's happening when that embarrassing bodily function is going on, why it's happening, is it normal, and then fun facts. So for farting.
Are you going to talk about the different types of farts, like the silent fart, the juicy,
maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so ones where like stuff escapes besides just the gas. Yeah, the whole gambit of farts.
Sure. Maybe a little bit. I didn't go that in depth. But why is it happening? Or excuse me, what is happening? We all know, right? What's happening. So as gas builds up in our digestive tract, there's only 2 ways it can come out. You can belch it out from kind of your upper digestive tract, or you can fart it out of your lower digestive tract.
So, but a lot of the gas that I can consider with like the burping. You know, is either swallowed air or if there's gas from like a carbonated soda or something like that. So I can see that. Does that gas sometimes
So
go
a little
through
bit of it,
okay.
a little bit of it can, but the majority of gas produced when we're farting is actually from fermentation and breakdown of food products. So
Okay.
it's more endogenous. So it's not exogenous where we brought it into our body like a carbonated pop, right?
Okay.
And you belch it out. This is more gas being produced by digestion.
And way back in the day when we did the plant-based meats and we talked about some of the values or benefits, it actually had to do with methane production from hogs and cattle. And a lot of that was due to the fermentation and pig farts.
You're
And-
right. Yeah. So is because our body is constantly producing, gas as just a normal part of digestion. Most of that actually does not have a terrible smell. So I know farts are associated with smelling bad.
Not mine.
Yeah. Everybody says that.
Yeah. No, mine seriously, roses. Hang on. Pull my finger.
Right. No,
Pull my finger.
No finger pulling. Don't do it, Andrew. No matter how much he wants you to, don't do it. But actually, most of it doesn't have a terrible smell because it contains odorless gases, which are things like nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane. So methane actually is odorless. But a small portion sometimes includes hydrogen sulfide, which gives it that rotten egg smell that we all know of. So in that hydrogen sulfide is a waste of the microbes that are helping you digest that kind of indigestible stuff. So when you have something that's more difficult to digest, those microbes will kind of work on it and maybe produce hydrogen sulfide, and then you have smelly farts.
I don't have smelly farts.
You definitely have smelly farts.
Mine smell like rainbows.
There are some other factors that might contribute to that kind of smell, which are compounds that are byproducts from meat being digested. So that can happen. And then another is whether or not there is feces present in your rectum when that flatulence, which is this kind of more...
You're sounding like Mr. Science over there
I know.
with rectum and
Right.
flatulence.
Just got more gross. Thank you.
feces. So yeah, if there's fecal matter,
That's poop.
poop in your rectum,
That's your butt.
yeah, when you flatulate,
Fart. I feel like I'm translating for the average man here.
Thank you for that. That could contribute to a smellier fart. Is it normal?
Smelly,
Of course.
What, smelly farts?
So smelly farts are actually normal, but if it's abnormal if it's problematic. So if all the time you are having just terrible smelly farts, that is something to talk to your healthcare provider about. I know we're laughing right now, but it really is. Because that
Mike
could be a
is
sign
laughing.
of that could be a sign of some serious things that we'll talk about here in just a sec. Well, we'll talk about it right now.
Okay, tell me why smelly farts are bad.
So, really smelly farts that are happen very often can be a sign of this thing called irritable bowel syndrome, or it can be a sign of other digestive disorders, and there could be a genetic component to that you don't make the enzymes you need to digest your food. It could be that you have some kind of like anatomical problem with your digestive tract that can contribute to that as well. But we may recommend in that case that you adopt a low FODMAP diet, which is an acronym.
I don't need any FODMAPs. I don't even know what they are.
So I didn't even know
Are they
what they were
do they
before
taste like
this.
chicken?
Had you ever heard that before?
Nope.
Okay. So FODMAP stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, which are...
What the bleep?
I know.
Some Poindexter just said something. We're like, yeah, we can't pronounce those, so let's just make this.
We'll call them
FODMAPs.
FODMAPs. But what those are sugars or carbohydrates that can create digestive issues because the F is fermentable. So your body will ferment those, which means they're going to digest them and there's going to be a gas off. One of those products, though, of fermentation is actually alcohol. So we had alluded to that in a previous episode. So if you using a fermentable carbohydrate, your body can produce very small amounts.
Yeah,
of its
because
own
so it's
alcohol.
crazy because I just read there was this woman in Canada that would go to her doctor and wasn't acting abnormal, but they would draw her blood and she'd always have detectable alcohol levels, and she was like getting pulled over by cops, and then they realized that they had this auto fermentation syndrome or whatever, and it's a real thing. That's crazy.
Yeah, probably overactive kind of fermentation. The other thing is, coming from a winemaking background, we don't where I make wine, but some winemakers will use unfermentable sugars. So like NutraSweet, if you think of that. So sweeteners that aren't able to be fermented, because you could add that to a wine and it would sweeten it, but you don't have the risk of re-fermentation.
That just sounds wrong. Those
It
guys are
is.
idiots.
Well,
we should write letters to Congress
Kind of
people about
interesting
that.
science, though.
Yeah, it's science, but that's just like cheating.
You're right. It's exactly cheating, but kind of interesting. Kind of plays into that.
I have bad fruit, so I'm going to add NutraSweet.
Right, and you don't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
blowing up later. So fun facts about farts. There's lots.
I can't wait.
So believe it or not, contrary to what you may believe, women actually fart more than men. However,
I knew it.
typically more discreet. They don't have the pride associated that men do.
Well,
So to bring this up again, my mom, and I have it on record here, we'll go to the tape, swears she has never farted.
Not possible.
she claims it.
Not possible.
Yeah,
I mean, if she does belch, though, she did admit that. So, is it possible it could come? Because you did talk
So-
about people who don't belch.
Yes.
So then, in theory, they would have to fart.
So it's really not possible. You have to, but you may, to not saying that your mom is a liar by any means.
Sure.
You may simply not notice it. So there always can be small amounts of gas escaping.
silent but deadly.
Yeah, it doesn't
Secret.
always have to be. It doesn't always have to be a humongous, release of
Let it rip.
of gas like Mike has.
So Andrew, I will just say that I never called your mom a liar like Mark just did.
I did not. I did not.
I enjoyed your mom. She was a very pleasant woman.
Thank you.
She really is. She really is.
Thank you.
So humans pass gas about 13 to 21 times a day. I love to meet the researcher that developed the study.
It was a student project, okay?
You gotta click this button every time you fart. Got it. So farts can be flammable. So that is not an urban legend. That is actually true. Not all farts, though.
So keep your butt away from open flames.
Potentially, if they contain hydrogen or methane, which are fairly common products in a fart, they could be flammable. Do not try this or test it. I know
Yeah.
we've seen it in movies.
And you don't
try.
have to, because there are plenty of YouTube videos that they're testing it for you.
Yeah. Don't tag those to our.
Are there really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You've not seen
yeah.
it?
I don't search for things
Was that,
like this.
What was it? Animal House? Was that Animal
No,
House?
they didn't do anything
Farm?
like that in Animal House.
Okay, some movie anyway that I've seen it. Now, this is one of the interesting studies I found, and it was actually published about the speed of a fart. So a fart can travel about 10 feet per second, which is about 6.8 miles per hour, so slightly faster than a brisk walk. Now, this could be very helpful if you're trying to identify.
Or you're trying to escape. You know how fast you have to walk.
Right, you have to walk faster than a brisk walk. So really, a jog if you're trying to escape.
So you're about 20 feet away from Andrew, so it'd take about 2 seconds if you
About
had
2
aimed it in his
seconds,
direction.
yeah.
Well, would it disperse enough where I wouldn't even smell it at this
Oh
distance?
no, you would smell his.
Oh, you definitely could smell it, depending on the content. A scientist who studies flatulence is called a flatologist. Fun fact.
I would not want that title.
They also study whether the earth is flat or round.
Yeah. I have 2 more fun facts. The oldest recorded joke, all jokes taken into account, the oldest recorded joke is an ancient Sumerian fart joke that dates back to 1900 BC.
What's the joke?
I don't know.
You don't speak
Who
ancient
cares?
Sumerian?
I don't. It's probably not funny.
Yeah, lost in translation.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, not
Thousands of years we've been making fun of farts. And then, of course, he who smelt it most often dealt it. So that's the last farting.
I'm Googling Samaritan fart jokes.
I guarantee it's going to be a big letdown. It's like the Geraldo Al Capone safe.
You just go ahead. I'm getting this one
We're
up here.
moving on to a different topic.
Oh, no, wait.
It's coming.
It's coming. All right. So you're right. I found that. It's a saying that in Sumerians who lived in southern Iraq, it goes something like this. It's like, something which has never occurred since time immemorial. A young woman did not fart in her husband's lap.
So obviously losing a lot in translation, but it ties into that fact that women don't fart. So women have been embarrassed about farting for the last, 4,000 years, something like that.
Yeah, no wonder the Samaritans don't exist anymore. Their jokes were horrible.
Terrible jokes.
Yeah, wow.
No, definitely
really disappointed.
the Al Capone safe.
Yeah.
All right, so next one, sweating. And this can be embarrassing, right, because it can cause some odor. You can actually see the sweat, which can be embarrassing. So what's happening? I think most listeners would realize that as your body's internal temperature starts to rise, our hypothalamus tells exocrine glands, which are distributed all over your body, to start producing sweat to cool you down. So you have that sweat, and then why it's happening isn't necessarily all there's more than one reason, and we'll kind of get into that. But the sweat has to evaporate off your skin to actually work. So that's why if you're covered up in clothing, you tend to overheat much faster because you don't have that sweat mechanism. Does that make sense?
And it doesn't work in Michigan. It's so humid.
Well, that's another problem. Yeah, if it's too much humidity, you can't evaporate quickly.
Well, and that's one of the key things also then with hypothermia can get really severe when you quit sweating.
Right. Yeah, because you're losing that. And that's called like heat of vaporization. So not to get too much into physics, but it takes energy to change that sweat from a liquid to a gas. So energy has to be taken away. And that's why you cool down when you have that sweat. It's obviously very normal to sweat.
It's not normal for pigs to sweat.
Yeah, pigs don't sweat, right?
Pigs do not have functional sweat glands.
Interesting. That's why they have to waller in mud, right?
Yeah. And so I think one of the reasons I know that is because I was at my uncle's farm once and the pigs got loose and he says, don't chase them around. You don't want them to run because I have a heart attack because they'll overheat because I can't sweat.
Really? Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit of, not so much pigs, but we'll talk about that. So it's definitely normal. I just want to remind people, we're not going to spend a lot of time on sweating. I want to remind people though that when you're sweating, you're losing water. So you have to rehydrate if you're sweating a lot. So don't forget to do that. And then if there are, and I'm not going to get into these, but there are certain conditions where you have hyper sweating. If you're one of those people and you think that, when you're in an embarrassing situation, or even in the heat, if you're sweating too much, you might want to bring that up to your doctor. There is treatment options. But I didn't want to spend time going down that path because that's a smaller percentage of people.
I sweat just thinking about sweating.
You're right. So fun facts about sweating. There's this thing called the Man versus Horse Marathon. It's over, 23 miles, whatever a marathon is. And it happens in England. And the competition is runners, and they're competing against riders on horseback. And it's over a mix of road, trail, and mountainous terrain. It happens in June every year. Believe it or not, there are instances where runners will beat people riding a horse over that marathon distance. And the winner, pretty much without fail, can be predicted by the temperature of race day, because horses don't sweat either. So if it's a hot day, if it's 80 degrees plus, generally the elite human runners will win. If it's a cooler day, the horses have the advantage.
Really?
All due to our ability to sweat.
Really?
Yeah. Now, short races, obviously horses are going to win every time. But long distance. Yeah.
Well, what about the man versus pig races?
No idea.
All right.
I'm assuming probably similar.
I think I could take them.
The horse or the pig?
Pig.
I couldn't beat either one. There's no way.
After the fourth season of the Health Deli, you can.
Yeah, you're
You're going to be so in shape.
because we're going to be in shape. We're going to be working out.
I am not going to be swole.
It's going to be sweaty in here.
I'm not going to be. Oh God, if this smells like a gym, I am out, man.
Yeah. Also, a fun fact. Unlike the exocrine sweat glands, which are found all over your body and produce sweat, that's mostly made up of water and salt. There's these things called apocrine sweat glands that are isolated to your armpits, your groin, and those produce kind of this thicker, fattier sweat, so a different kind of sweat, and that's why your armpits and your groin has a worse smell to it. So believe it or not, the sweat produced in your armpits and your groins is a different kind of sweat, and it smells versus arm, facial sweating, those kinds of things. Yeah, kind of interesting. So that's why you're going to put deodorant there. People, not you, obviously, but everyone else uses deodorant in those areas too.
Yeah, because I was going to recommend you put it on your face.
Yeah,
Because you stink.
I stink. It's also important that the process of metabolizing food can increase your body temperature, and because of that, can precipitate sweating. So you ever heard of the meat sweat?
Nope.
It's a real thing. So if you eat a lot of meat at one time, it's probably warm meat, so that increases your body temperature. But you can experience this thing called the meat sweats.
Really? Never heard of that.
Well, we're gonna have to do that on the protein episode.
I'm not going to eat so much meat that I almost die. But can what you shut up? Can what you eat affects the way that your sweat smells?
I didn't research that a ton. Probably not in the exocrine glands, because those really are just pulling out a few salts and water. They don't have the fats. They don't have the other things, the proteins in them that the apocrine glands do. So I would imagine, yes, that it would affect.
Andrew,
I don't know that.
Get on this. We need you to find out for us if what you eat affects the way your sweat smells. Because you hear people say, "Oh, I ate so much garlic, it's seeping out my pores. That's how I smell," kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
You probably had some yesterday. I can smell it.
no, that's just.
According to the AI overview here, yes, some foods can affect what your sweat smells like. For example, foods that are strong smelling, spicy, or rich, like garlic, onions, alcohol, spices, and hot peppers.
First of all, thank you. Second of all, I can't believe he didn't say I Googled it. He said AI told me.
Yeah, I know. That's a new thing.
Well, it's
going to replace the health deli.
It's weird because the AI overview that my web browser gives me usually is more accurate than the search results below it.
Really?
Because it condenses those together and gives me, I don't know,
God,
it's more
so
updated.
Now even if you Google, you're lazy.
I know. Yeah.
Dang.
Well, have we concluded sweating? Any more questions, concerns?
I've got lots of questions, lots of concerns, but not related to this at the moment.
I think it's time for a healthy minute.
I think you're right. Let's pause for the Healthy Minute, brought to you by the winery at Young Farms. Today's Healthy Minute is protect yourself from tick-borne illnesses like Lyme disease. Here are some practical tips to help protect yourself from ticks. Dress appropriately, so wear long sleeves, long pants, tuck your pants into your socks or boots. Choose light-colored clothing to easily spot ticks. Use repellent. Apply insect repellent with at least 20% DEET on exposed skin and clothing. For added protection, treat clothing and gear with products containing permethrin. Perform tick checks. After spending time outdoors, thoroughly check your body for ticks. Pay close attention to areas like your scalp, behind the ears, armpits, and behind the knees. Check pets and gear as well. Shower soon after. Shower within 2 hours of being outdoors to wash off unattached ticks and make it easier to spot any that might be attached. And then remove ticks promptly. If you find a tick, remove it with fine-tipped tweezers. Grasp the tick close to the skin and pull upward with steady, even pressure. Clean the bite area with your hands with soap and water. By following these precautions, you can enjoy your time outdoors while reducing your risk of tick-borne illnesses. That was the Healthy Minute, brought to you by the Winery at Young Farms in Mecosta, Michigan. Please visit www.thewineryatyoungfarms.com for more information. Now, back to the Health Deli.
Boom, chicka, boom, healthy. So it's interesting that you talk about ticks, because I've heard this year, especially around here, that the ticks have been even worse than they have in previous years. We've had a lot of rain, warmer temperatures early, and this year is the first time I ever recall pulling a tick off one of my kids.
Yeah. They're everywhere where I'm at. It's a daily occurrence. So we check our pets every day, and I would say it is less likely to not have them. It's every day we're pulling a tick.
Wow.
They're everywhere.
Wow.
And there has been confirmed cases of Lyme disease just about 10 miles from me. So
Does that have anything to do with the increased deer population?
I mean,
No.
yeah, no.
Because, and we should do an episode on that because, in terms of how some of these things are named.
Deer tick versus dog tick versus
Right.
wood tick. Yeah.
And we did that, I think, at one point in time. We'll have to revisit
we should
that.
revisit it. Yeah.
Andrew, do you listen to Health Deli? I think
It's been a while.
I think we've done episodes on that.
It's probably good for a update, though.
Yeah.
Talk about some other tick-borne stuff. Rocky Mountain spotted fever.
Well, I think we talked about that too.
Yeah.
I did a fairly thorough job.
Nobody remembers it.
You guys should really, too old.
Right. All right. So our next potentially embarrassing
I'm embarrassed right now being here.
function,
It is-
sneezing.
I'm never embarrassed by sneezing, just more embarrassed by you two.
I just have a very girly sneeze.
Really?
It's like, chew. My wife always
See?
makes
Can be
fun of it.
embarrassing. Can be embarrassing.
Yeah.
For me, I always sneeze in at least pairs. My first one is usually just the most loud, obnoxious, just full body sneezing. After that, it's just regular ones.
Little sneezes?
Yeah.
Interesting.
My wife sneeze smell is like, ka-chaw!
Ka-cha! Wow.
Wow. I don't know what to say to that. It's wonderful. All right. So what is happening? We know what a sneeze is, but the trigeminal nerve, which provides sensation to our face and innervates our jaw muscles, is wired to pick up any irritation inside the nose. So pepper, pollen, dust, molds, anything that's like irritating to your nose is what's going to stimulate that sneeze. So the motor pathway then activates the muscles of the throat and the respiratory muscles, and kind of all of this concert comes together. The diaphragm contracts, initiating a deep breath, and then the vocal cords close and the respiratory muscles in the chest contract, builds up pressure, glottis opens and releases this huge amount of stream of air to kind of blow any kind of debris out of your throat, nose, and mouth. And that's a sneeze.
Just listening to you to describe it makes it sound so much more disgusting than it actually is.
You're right.
You said things like glottis and
Yeah,
It's
sneezing,
pretty disgusting, especially when they do the black light thing or when you can see where everything's going.
Yeah,
the sprays
everywhere.
slow motion.
yeah, it is. It's definitely not something that's appetizing. So why do we do that? It's that way, right, to get all of that foreign irritant out of our body. So
I wish I could get you out of my body.
yeah,
That's out of my head.
out of your head. Right. So is it normal? Of course it's normal. It's rarely a sign of a serious problem. However, sneezing is the most forceful way to spread infectious droplets from respiratory infections. So a sneeze, although normal, can spread illness from one person to another. So make sure you cover your sneeze, cover your cough.
Is it important to let it out as well? Because I know some people try to suppress their sneezes, and can that build up pressure in your head? Because I've heard of people maybe like with aneurysms or something
Yes.
like that.
So no,
hemorrhages.
it is better to let it out, but cover it, into your elbow or something like that.
Okay.
So you're catching the droplets, but don't try to hold a sneeze in, even if it's embarrassing. Sneeze appropriately into something to catch the droplets.
Because there actually could be harm, right?
There could be, yes.
Okay.
Because you don't want to build up that internal pressure. You can actually have what I call a vagal response then, because you build up so much pressure. You could theoretically pass out even, but you wouldn't.
Let's hold
Let's not
Mark's
hold
nose
it
and
in.
mouth, and like after we do pepper and see if we can make him pass out.
No way, not gonna do
Can
that.
a sneeze turn into a belch
I would imagine.
Snelch.
Yeah.
or a fart?
That's called smart.
Now, if you're wow, the jokes are just getting worse and worse. Now, if you're experiencing a lot of sneezing, there are some things that can help. So over-the-counter antihistamines, if you're having seasonal allergies, can help with that. Try to eliminate the irritants. So filters in your home AC system. Try to filter out pollen, those kinds of things, so you're not sneezing as much. Use saline rinses.
Back to your neti pot.
Well, I do like the neti pot. We should have an episode about neti pot actually, because neti pot isn't necessarily the most safe thing. There are some issues.
I just
with
want to
it, but
see
I
you
still
do
use
it
them.
because that would feel like I'm
That would be
drowning.
another season 4. I love it. I love the neti pot feeling. Just cleans me right out.
Nope.
All right, so I do have 2 fun facts about sneezing. Three fun facts. Number 1, if you press on your philtrum, which we know what that is now because we had an episode on it. Yeah, so that's the bump under your nose. That will suppress a sneeze. So if you're getting that feeling, if you're getting that feeling like, I'm going to sneeze, and you press on that, it I don't know if it stimulates or it suppresses that trigeminal nerve.
It does not.
And it will stop a sneeze. It's part of standard military training.
Really?
And it works. So when I'm hunting or I'm in a situation where I have to be quiet and I start to sneeze, pressure right on that philtrum, a lot of pressure, as much as you can stand, will stop a sneeze.
Because it's painful?
Yeah, and you don't have that like terrible feeling where you're trying to hold a sneeze in. It just goes away.
Okay, now I'm going to try this now.
Yeah, you should try it.
First maybe useful thing you've said all day.
It actually is very useful. The other thing is there used to be a commonly held misconception that you can't sneeze with your eyes open. I don't know where that came from, but that's actually not true. So race car drivers will practice sneezing with their eyes open because if you're driving a race car at 200 miles an hour and you have to close your eyes for a second, it could be disastrous.
Well, I have sneezed on the road as I'm driving, and you do that, and it is kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah, but you can train yourself to sneeze with your eyes
Really?
open. Yep.
Okay, so now I've got to press my philtrum and practice sneezing with my eyes open so you don't sneak up on me.
Yep. And then this actually does not happen to me, but I've heard of it. And it's
I've got so many good jokes there, but I want to keep this a little bit better family
good,
rated.
Thank you. Sneezing when exposed to a bright light is called photo sneeze reflex, or ACHU syndrome, and I don't even know what that stands for. But it's
that's a joke. You got it.
But it's an inherited trait that affects 35% of the population. So this is like if you walk outside on a bright day and sneeze. This does not happen to me.
I've heard people say that, and they say, I'm allergic to the sun. Every time I go outside, I start to sneeze.
Yeah, so I guess 35% of the population experiences this. I've heard of people saying I don't. So.
See, I just thought they were just making stuff up. Just
maybe they are.
Yeah.
So,
you know, one of my favorite sayings is,
what?
God is great, beer is good, people are stupid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. The next one that our listeners are probably doing right now, laughing.
No, our listeners are not laughing.
Oh, yeah,
they're probably crying. Like, why am I wasting my life?
Laughing at you, not at your jokes, just you. So what is happening? Laughing is this response to a release of dopamine and endorphins in the brain. A hearty laugh involves contraction and relaxation of all sorts of different facial, chest, abdominal, and skeletal muscles. It can ease muscle tension and spasms.
Is that why sometimes when people laugh so hard, they fart?
Yeah, potentially.
See, I'm bringing them all together for you.
Yeah. During a laugh, your heart rate and your heart rate elevates, as well as your respiratory rate and ventilation becomes more irregular as because of this. So it actually increases, oxygen in your body. It's kind of like I had it described as a form of jogging for your innards. That was a researcher that said that laughing actually helps to stimulate so many different muscles. It's kind of almost like exercise. Interesting.
So do you get some exercise, Mike?
Nope.
He doesn't laugh.
I don't laugh.
So what's interesting, though, when the why it's happening is because, evolutionarily, you think, why do we laugh? It really doesn't serve a purpose, right? Well, it does serve a purpose. It serves a social function. And it's a way for us to signal to another person that we wish to connect with them.
That's why I don't laugh.
Right. No one wants to connect with you.
It's this stare means get away from me. Why would I want to ruin that with a laugh?
Yep. Also, in a study I read of thousands of...
I guess I did. You did make me laugh.
Right.
You read.
I read a study. Yeah. Thousands of examples of laughter. They looked at who actually was laughing. Was it the speaker in the conversation, or was it the person receiving the information? What do you think would be more likely to laugh?
Speaker. They always think they're funnier.
46% more likely.
Yeah.
If you're the speaker. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But there's been a lot of research into kind of identifying why we laugh. And it's kind of like a signal, like I'm comfortable with you and we can be friends. It's kind of interesting.
Nope.
There's some research, theories, so not proven by any means, that person-to-person connection of laughter actually predates spoken language. So as two humans interacted before we had spoken language, that effect of laughter can somehow convey a sense of safety.
How do they know that? Because if nobody was speaking, they obviously weren't writing, so nobody recorded the fact that they were laughing at each other.
Just a theory.
It's a dumb theory.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is not.
If you see somebody get kicked in the groin, you're gonna laugh. I don't care. I don't care.
The
if
movie
speak.
Idiocracy comes to mind.
Yeah.
Well, babies smile and laugh and giggle before they start talking.
That's all about
right?
gas. That's all about gas.
Yeah. Because we're getting low on time, I just want to say that there's a ton of benefits to actually laughing. So it can decrease pain, stress. It can decrease incidence of depression. There's just a lot of actually really good things from laughing. But some people will laugh when they shouldn't. And when it's not socially acceptable.
All right, that's me. We
Yeah.
got to talk about this. Let me hear it.
So every once in a while, that's not a big deal, but it can actually be problematic. And there's certain disease states that can precipitate or that can cause this. I'm blanking on the name of the disease state right now, where you actually, pseudobulbar effect, where you actually laugh or cry and it has no bearing on the situation. It's completely out of context. So it can be a side effect of medications, or it could be sign of a more serious illness. ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease it's kind of a hallmark symptom of that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but that is, a very small percentage of the population. But some people also just laugh when you're nervous.
Right. That's what I
because you
was
have an
thinking.
increase in those same chemical messengers,
Yeah.
So, yeah, kind of interesting. I do have one fun fact. In a Northwestern University study of more than 300 people, those with the short version or allele of a gene 5-HTTLPR are quicker to laugh at cartoons and funny movie clips than those with the long version of the gene. So there actually is potentially a genetic component to whether or not you have a sense of humor. So there's some science behind it. It's not just all a learned, inherited kind of thing. So
Interesting.
So laugh more. So laughing is good for us.
If I laugh, do I have to exercise?
No, but laughing kind of is exercise.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I could maybe learn to laugh because I'd watch TV more.
Right. Watch Idiocracy.
Yeah. God, I got to watch that movie tonight.
All right. Our last one, and we're getting short on time, but this is probably the most important one, poop.
Definitely important.
Pooping is maybe the most embarrassing thing that we do. We know what's happening. We're moving kind of some of those products of undigested food out of our body. That is called defecation. It is involuntary from our colon, so like our large intestine, into the internal anal sphincter. But then it is voluntary most of the time after that.
So it just builds up until it hits that wall, and then you can control the sphincter, the valve.
But there are times when that becomes full, and remember, it's involuntary, kind of above it in the stream. So if more and more start getting pushed in there, you have to go out. So you can't hold it indefinitely, right? So it's having a bowel moment is critical part of digesting the food we eat. So there's no one that can say they can't poop. I don't care whose mom they are.
Yeah, because if you can't, then that's a problem. You should see your doctor.
You would definitely explain. Yeah, it's called constipation. Then you get ischemic bowel and all the other.
Oh, yeah, ileus. Yeah, terrible. So is it normal? Of course it's normal. But what is normal? So we're going to talk about poop and what is normal and what is not normal. So
are you talking consistency, or are you
both.
talking about frequency?
So we're going to talk about frequency first. So a normal frequency would be 3 times a day which seems like a lot to me. I'm not going to lie.
Really? That sounds like constipation.
3 times a day?
Oh, yeah. I'd do that before noon.
Really? Up to 3 times a week.
Oh, hell, I'd die.
Really?
3 times a week? No.
So I don't.
Oh, dear God, no.
Maybe this is too much to ask, but like I don't every day.
You don't?
No.
So
Do you,
you
Andrew?
Yeah, about
literally,
once a day. Yeah.
Once, okay.
you literally are full of
I think my regular coffee intake helps keep me regular.
Yeah, coffee, and we can talk about laxatives and those kinds of things too. But
Yeah, I'm religiously 1 to 2 times a day.
Really?
Minimum.
really, do you eat a lot of fiber?
Oh.
I do. I actually plan my meals around how much fiber's in it. So now we're going to get into consistency. And I've provided for you gentlemen, I use that term loosely, the Bristol stool chart, which is like a score chart for your poop. And there's nice drawings.
Oh, I'm going to keep this in the bathroom wall.
You really should.
I'll record each one.
Yeah, and they objectively grade your poop.
I had a number
On a
3.
scale
I had a
from
number 3
1
when I got here today.
See, I'm always in a 1 or 2. So 3 or 4 would be considered normal, which is that sausage-shaped stool, but smooth and soft, kind of like a snake. I'm reading that right off the table.
You're trying to make poop sound sexy. It's smooth and soft.
So let's read number 3, which is also normal. Sausage-shaped stool with cracks on the surface. So
That pretty much says poop to me. Yeah.
right. Now, if you go to the other side, a lower number, those are hard, clumpy balls of poop. That would mean suggest you're constipated. Lumpiness, that's going to suggest constipation. And then when you go to the soft side, if you have kind of blobs or even mush or just liquid, that's looking more like diarrhea.
Does their high fiber intake produce more of a 1 or a 2? Is that
No, so
part of it?
well, it can. So great question. So fiber intake would your body's natural response to fiber is to pull more water into the digestive tract.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a looser kind of softer poop. But if you don't drink enough water,
You said
but if you don't drink enough water with your fiber, then it definitely can lead to constipation because your body won't put that water in there. And then it does make really hard stool. So fiber is great, but you got to drink a lot of water with it. Or it can actually make it worse.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and we're going to talk about normal color. So normally your poop is light brown.
Do you have a chart for my colors as well?
Don't. We should have.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have that. The color of a milk chocolate bar would be considered normal.
Yum.
I just wanted to compare that to something that somebody eats.
So all of a sudden, I'm thinking of the movie Caddyshack, and they throw the baby Ruth in the pool.
Yes, of
That
course.
looks like a number 3.
Yeah, that would be perfect. That would be perfect. But actually, the color in your poop is a fairly complicated process, believe it or not. So we have bilirubin in our body, which aids in our digestion, and then that actually combines with iron that we from our diet to give it that color. So the bilirubin is actually green. So if you
Is that why you have green poop sometimes?
well, yeah. So bile, which contains a lot of
Yeah.
it. So bile is this green colored stuff. And if you eat something that makes your digestive tract move quickly, so you're moving your poop through very quickly, it doesn't have enough time to react with all of the iron and other things to turn it more brown. So a sign of green poop would mean you probably have some kind of infection or something that's making your body kind of go into hyperspeed to get rid of that poop. So green poop can be a problem. It can also be a sign of gastrointestinal disorders like Crohn's or celiac disease. Now, black poop, kind of on the opposite spectrum, can mean that you have a lot of iron supplements. So it has more iron versus bile in that, and so that can cause black poop, which would be considered normal. If you consume bismuth subsalicylate, which is an ingredient found in Pepto-Bismol,
Yeah.
that'll make you have black poop. Also, though, blood in your stool, which is a serious effect, will show up as black. So it's not like this bright red blood, which could be a problem if the bleeding comes from the rectum. But generally, if you're having GI bleeding, it shows as really dark tarry.
Because that means it's been digested a little bit. Okay.
Right, yep, more iron in it.
Okay.
Poop can also be yellow when fat isn't absorbed from the stool.
So this like baby poop?
Yeah, it would look like baby poop. And that can be disrupted by like certain illnesses or parasitic infections, or if you have a lot of inflammation in your pancreas. So yellow poop is almost always a sign of a medical problem. And that would be if you're having consistent yellow poops, you should probably talk to your physician about that. Pale white poop. Never heard of this.
Oh, I have.
Really?
Yeah. It's for liver damage, so you're not processing the bilirubin. And so a lot of patients with hepatitis having clay-colored or pale-colored stools is a hallmark sign.
Yeah, see, and I had never heard that. So
you should. I probably didn't teach you back then.
I don't know if you did.
We probably didn't. Yeah, you don't remember anything, you son of a.
Right, you're right. And then there's the red poop, which would be bright red poop, and that's a sign of bleeding in that, the end of your digestive tract, so rectum or very low intestine, which obviously can be problematic and a reason to follow up. It can also be caused though by food coloring, so like some fruit drinks, Jellos, whatever.
We used to do that as kids. We'd make things like drinks with different food colorings in there just to see what color they would turn your poop.
Right. Well, St. Patrick's Day, the green beer. Yeah. So I have a few fun facts.
Well, what about the heat of your poop?
The heat?
Yeah, like after you eat a lot of jalapenos or something.
Oh yeah.
You've never had Ring of Fire?
I've had ring sting. I've had it.
That hurts.
It does. It does.
Hurts so good. Hurts so good.
The pH of your poop, your poop H. All right, I have a few facts. We're getting low on time and we're getting
and short on jokes.
Happy. Yeah, we are. It takes 2 to 5 days for food to turn into poop. So
now that's normal.
That would be normal
because there are definitely things that speed up your gastric transit time.
Oh, exactly. But that would be normal, about 2 to 5 days. So there's a huge variation there. I mean, up to 3 days. Most often you can kind of associate that with corn. I know it sounds disgusting, but you can see that corn showing up 5 days after.
Yeah, or crayons. And my dog loves to eat crayons.
And they're not digestible, so you can.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Different colors, though, not just yellow.
Yeah. Or it could be like a dime, like in my daughter's case.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the other thing is that someone did research on this, right? And so I found a researcher named Frederick Heusel, and he was a German American physiologist and fasting researcher, and he was known as the human billy goat. And he actually contributed a lot of our knowledge to the digestive tract and the time and kind of how it works by ingesting all of these crazy things. So he would ingest like 100 glass beads and then set up an experiment and count them as he pooped them out and time them to see how long it took for them to completely pass through his digestive
and the crazy thing, I'm looking at his lifespan that you put there. I would have thought this guy would have died in his early 20s, but he lived a long life.
He lived a long life. Yeah.
We are not condoning eating glass beads or anything like that.
Else. Yeah. No, but he ate all sorts of other indigestible objects and would do research on it. That's not the way we handle research anymore.
Again, you can go to YouTube and if you want to see what happened.
YouTube
you don't have to do it.
Like
don't do it yourself.
Place, man.
Well, it is, but.
And then the last and probably most fun fact I think about poop is that poop can be medicine.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. So in this, you can probably talk more about it than I can, but in certain infections, like C. diff infections, your digestive tract has so much diarrhea that you lose all of your good flora, all your good bacteria, and they will request a first-degree relative, right? It's usually a household member, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never donated, never asked for it.
Right. Well, I've seen it.
I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, used.
So back in the early 2000s when this first started coming up, they would get the transplant from a family member, whomever, put it in a blender, puree it up, and then they'd put it into a tube that would go down, into the GI tract.
Yeah, you didn't actually have to drink it.
Right.
You would use
they've kind of gotten away from a lot of those, and they've done more medically palatable transplant type things.
Yeah. I actually have a great idea
I'm not doing poop, man. I'm not eating any poop or anything.
But it is effective. I mean, it's proven effective.
Yeah, but if this is your idea, this is not what I'm doing.
No. So what I want to do, because I'm a pharmacist, right? So are you? Is I want to develop a micro, like encapsulated version of the fecal transplant, because then you could just take it like a pill, and you wouldn't have to taste it, and you'd have all those effects. Do you know what I'm going to call it?
No.
Feces Pieces.
Oh, dear. Are we almost done?
I think on that note, we're done. Let's put out the sign. I got to let out some terrible body functions. I'm a little embarrassed, and I don't want to do it on the podcast. So let's hang up the sign. Until next time, see you later from the Health Deli. Thanks for stopping by the Health Deli to sample some of our wares. We're open 24/7 on Facebook and Twitter at The Health Deli, or visit thehealthdeli.com to send us a question or find any of our locations. Please come again. We will be regularly stocking the shelves with fresh content and new wellness specials. As always, we want to give a special thank you to Andrew Tingley and the crew at Ferris State University's Television and Digital Media Production Program. Until next time, so long from the Health Deli, where the topics are tasty, the takes are fresh, and the discussion is free.
Oh my God, that was horrible.
Terrible weather.
Yeah. Feces, pieces, let's end on that. What the bleep, man? I mean, that's holy.
Literally, if people listen to that entire 50-minute episode, it's worth it at the end.
No.
Pieces. Come on.
If this is their first episode, they'd be like, these guys are bleeping idiots, man. This is the dumbest thing.
Yeah. I'm going to get the design students to mock that up.
Holy-
Pieces.
Pieces, baby.
Oh, Lordy.
What'd you do today? I talked about